Hello guys, my name is Colin. This is Colin Talks Crypto. Unfortunately, after many years of successful operation, the Steem blockchain has been taken over by a cartel of big exchanges voting with user funds. I love the Steem blockchain. I love Steemit. I post on there regularly. All my videos go on there. And it's a very sad day to say that after all these years of successful running, the Steem DPoS, the delegated proof of stake model, has been taken over by a group of exchanges all working together, voting with user funds, and basically knocking out all the witnesses. And on the Steem blockchain, the witnesses are the block producers, the equivalent of the EOS block producers. They are those entities responsible for making the next block and keeping consensus. Well, with this recent post by Vitalik, he says apparently Steem DPoS got taken over by big exchanges voting with depositors' funds. Seems like the first big instance of a de facto bribe attack on coin voting. The bribe being exchanges giving holders convenience and taking their votes. Well, I'm sad to say that's actually not the first, maybe it's the biggest instance of it, but it does occur elsewhere. I follow EOS in depth, and over the past year, the EOS blockchain has taken a similar path where exchanges have gained a greater and greater control over the power that the block producers have, to the point where many of the top 21 are exchanges. So it seems that DPoS has this inherent flaw because of the ability for an exchange to vote with user funds on that user's behalf. Now, the EOS blockchain hasn't taken this kind of a toll. On the EOS blockchain, we have 5 or 6 exchanges, but on the Steem blockchain, we have the first instance of all top 20 witnesses being taken over. And you can see this video by Luke Stokes. He did an awesome job covering this. You can see here the top 20 witnesses are all voted in by a cartel of exchanges. And if we scroll down here, you can see this user explains what happened. It was Binance, Huobi, and Justin Sun of Tron colluding to do a 51% attack to unfreeze Steemit's stake by voting all the hardworking witnesses out and voting their own witnesses in. So this was very much a coordinated effort, and I've been saying it for a long time now. The ability to vote with funds, with user funds on exchanges is dangerous. It's dangerous for the consensus of DPoS protocols. And this is just a nail in the coffin, proof of that fact. As Vitalik said, it seems like the first big instance of a de facto bribe attack on coin voting. It's worth noting that this took place right after the Tron acquisition of Steem, and Ned, one of the founders of Steem, sold the Steem blockchain to Justin Sun of Tron. And what do we have right after he acquired that enormous amount of tokens and Steem power? Well, looks like Justin Sun was quick to take action and vote in all of their own witnesses, thereby taking full control over the Steem blockchain. And so what does this mean? This means basically that unfortunately Steemit is no longer a decentralized platform. It means that it no longer has censorship resistance. It means that these exchanges, Binance, Huobi, and Justin Sun of Tron, all control the blockchain fully now. So again, in my opinion, this is really sad to see. I love Steem and I love Steemit, and it's just a shame to see exchanges erode the value that a blockchain brings. The entire purpose of having Steem and Steemit was to have a censorship-resistant platform. And when you put all the power into a very small number of hands, you've essentially just taken that one benefit away. It is now no different than having Facebook or Twitter, which are completely centralized entities. So very sad to see this. It's amazing to me that exchanges don't look at the long-term consequences of their actions like this. Like, they might get away with it for a short while, but by destroying the inherent value that the entire Steemit service was supposed to offer, they can only hope to destroy the value of their own tokens. So I don't quite get the move here, but it seems very short-term, very short-sighted, very lacking the consequences of their actions, and we will have to see how this pans out. Maybe the community is able to fork and create their own more distributed version of Steem and let it live on through a fork. Time will tell. But this just, I think, is a very important wake-up call back to the subject of EOS. You know, we've had exchanges that are unremovable, like Huobi, for instance, the exact same exchange that is taking control of Steemit. It was also rumored that Binance just created a block producer on EOS, and EOS is still safe and has not been taken over. But again, I really want to make a point here. We do need to make an improvement on governance on EOS as well to reduce the ability for exchanges to vote with user funds. And that includes removing things like 30 votes per single token, because that just gives whales and exchanges 30 times more power to vote for things like their own block producers. And we have seen sock puppet BP accounts, which is essentially what this is. These are sock puppet BP accounts. These are sock puppet witnesses. They are controlled by the same entity. So for all intents and purposes, you don't have 20 witnesses securing the blockchain. And on EOS, it could be the exact same thing. We have seen BPs that have replicated themselves and made sock puppet BP accounts. And that's one of the dangers of delegated proof of stake, in my opinion. And so I think the EOS community would be very wise to strongly look into and take action in regards to governance on EOS. And whatever those optimizations are, let's get them put in place. Let's not dilly-dally here, or we will end up like Steemit. And I do not want EOS to end up like Steemit. That includes everything from voting mechanics to block producer pay. EOS New York had an incredibly, while complex proposal, an incredibly intelligent one in my opinion. And Dan Larimer himself had a 6 staking pool idea that encouraged long-term staking and de-incentivized short-term staking, which exchanges can only generally stake for short periods of time because they need to have tokens liquid. And so Dan's staking pool idea enables token holders who are not exchanges to lock up their tokens for longer periods of time, get a greater return than exchanges, and have more vote power as well. And exchanges, again, need to have their tokens liquid, and so that's not something they can do. And that would help level the playing field. An exchange in that case, even if it was still able to vote with user funds, would have less weight per vote than a user who was able to lock it up for longer, who would have more vote weight per token. I think we need to get Dan's 6 staking pool idea in place immediately. And I think we should strongly look at other solutions like getting the 1 token, 1 vote, or 1 token, 1 vote squared, or EOS New York's governance proposal put in place. And while we do work on governance improvements, I do want to reiterate the importance of removing your tokens from exchanges. You know, not your private key, not your tokens. Well, even more so when your tokens can be used to vote on the consensus of the entire blockchain. So if you hold Steem, if you hold EOS, if you hold any delegated proof of stake token, do not keep it on an exchange if you care about the value of your own tokens. I mean, it would seem obvious, but I think a lot of people don't get that that's what's happening here. Their tokens are being used against them, essentially. Their tokens are being used to de-decentralize, to remove decentralization from the blockchains with which they hold those tokens. And so if you hold any DPoS token, it increases the value and the decentralization for your token to remove it off of exchanges. Do not give exchanges the power to vote with your tokens because, as we see here, they will abuse it. And as the user Fubazler says, this is a fundamental flaw with DPoS. The only way to fix it is to use a different consensus algorithm. And it's worth noting that proof of work does not suffer from this particular flaw. Proof of work does have its other centralizing factors, and I would not just be so quick to say that it is superior right off the bat. You have 3 or 4 mining pools in China that control all of the hash rate, or the majority of hash rate for Bitcoin and Ethereum, for example. And so it's not a perfect world either way, but maybe there are improvements that we can make to DPoS that can make it more resilient. And I said, the question is, can governance on DPoS be fixed, or will the outcome of Steemit be the inevitable outcome? This is a call to action, guys. Let's not end up like Steem. A sad day.